moving over from one LA team to the other side of LA, Dave, there's some interesting stuff coming out. This is from The Athletic I've got 2 tweets here, where the first one from The Athletic, going to their article, says, the treatment the Clippers gave Kawhi Leonard and Paul George rubbed some teammates the wrong way. And they have 3 bullet points. Number 1, Kawhi and PG-13 had power over the practice schedule. Number 2, Kawhi lived in San Diego, which often made him late. And number 3, teammates believed they could choose when to play. Basically, Paul George and Kawhi could basically choose, I don't want to play this game. I'm sitting out this game, and have nothing said to them or no repercussions for them. And then there's another tweet of there was an unnamed Clipper source on the team's lack of chemistry, success, and success last season. This is from at The Score. It says, how do you ever build a strong team with that shit going on? I thought from the beginning, we're doomed. Kawhi wants too much special treatment. Dave, what is your thought on this? And are the Clippers in trouble when it comes to chemistry in order to be successful this year?
I think I actually read something that Paul George basically was throwing Doc under a bus too, for the team culture and the lack of responsibility on some stars, and just in general the way the team didn't practice enough. They weren't disciplined, basically. Like a lot of blame getting tossed at the head coach, and I think the head coach is a tone setter. So like, look, if we on the outside were like, wow, Kawhi and Paul George are getting special treatment, and then in the locker room, when they're in the same mindset as the general media on the outside, that's never good, because they have the insight. They are there. They know the story. We're just gleaming, hey, it looks like the players don't look like they're happy down there, or there's a rift or whatever. And like, nah, that was the truth. So knowing that and seeing that, I think that the culture is set at the top, and I do blame Doc for this. I think Doc Rivers played his hand into wanting to accommodate Paul George and Kawhi Leonard as much as possible, and play around the vet-heavy, hey, we'll pick and choose when we have to show up, and we don't have to go 100% all the time. And his lack of mid-game management for adjustments. Adjustments, that was the word. Thank you. So with that being said, yes, there are a lot of problems on the team.
Yeah.
They can't all be blamed on Doc, but I think you can put a large scale of blame onto Doc Rivers for his coaching style. And again, it's not that the style is bad, it's the style didn't fit with the guys on the roster.
I'm with you. And the thing that I first thought when I saw this, and I'm taking stuff from Twitch chat too, because they're kind of feeding into what I'm going to say, is Mad Rogue says, if they won the ship, that stuff is not leaking out to the press. I had the same thing. I was like, you know what? If they would have won, and basically if they would have been the Lakers, if the Clippers would have won and the Lakers didn't win, we're not hearing anything because, we were successful. Hell, if they even went to the Western Conference Finals and lost in 7 to the Lakers, and it was a hard-fought series, none of this shit comes out. The only reason it's coming out is because the lower players, or the unnamed source, they're just upset that they weren't more successful, that basically this team fell short of expectations. And then Tim says in Twitch chat, it might have kept them from winning the ship. I don't think it did. I don't think it kept them from winning the ship, because what kept them from winning the ship? The Nuggets outplaying them. That's what kept them from winning the ship. The Nuggets came into that series, they were the better team, and that's why they ended up winning. The Clippers, they had to limp through a series with the Mavericks. They probably should have lost that series, Dave. We were looking at it going, man, Luka, I know Luka got hurt in one game, but it's he might be able to pull them to a victory. Now the KP stuff happens. Luka left a game a little bit. There was stuff that went down for the Mavs too, but the Clippers weren't full strength. I agree with you. Doc is the first thing, and yet again, with Ty Lue being the head coach, we will see, was Doc the problem? The other side, I look at it, I go, all right, are we going to be prima donnas here to where it's you're telling me that Giannis, Jimmy, LeBron, name any fucking lead player, superstar on a team, that they're not getting special treatment, that the rest of you're telling me Michael Jordan for the Bulls didn't have to do some things that other players had to do. Now, the thing with Michael that they say all the thing in the last doc now, we all know is basically that basically Michael was like, I'm going to hold you to this standard. And if you're not at it, then you're not on my team. Yeah, basically. But like, there's a part of me that's like, now in this NBA, like Kawhi Leonard not playing a game, choosing what games not to play. I have no problem with that because we know injuries are a problem for him. As long as he's there when we need him, and that's the problem. Paul George and Kawhi were not there when they needed him. They were not successful in the playoffs. That's the crux of all this.
Yeah, I mean, had Paul George not gone full pandemic P, they would have been a very competitive team. Had Doc Rivers made any adjustments during that Nuggets series, they would have been a competitive team and had a chance to win it out. So again, it's very frustrating to see a team that had as much talent and depth as they had not seem to be able to find an answer with all the different lineup options, with all the different tools they had in their bag, could not figure it out. And that's the frustration. I wouldn't be surprised if this leak was Trez. I'll be honest. He's off the team. What are they going to do? It's one of the things where I'm looking at guys in that roster who are unhappy, and I can't name anyone unhappier than Montrezl Harrell because he left he was expected to come back.
There's a top three: Trez, Bev, Lou Will. That's my top three. It's one of those three. It's one of those three. I love your Harold take because it makes sense. What are they going to do?
Beverly might have said something publicly to people's face, though. In my mind, that's the kind of his.
Pat Bev, I gotta fucking hide around unnamed. I fucking said it.
He put his name on something. I feel. But yeah, no, I think it's it's somewhere in that grouping probably. But it is just it's frustrating that you nailed the spot on though. Every star will get treatment. Not everybody's going to be treated equally. Everybody will be treated fairly. That's the expectation,
And the other thing too is like this is very small potatoes. I mean, the whole like living in San Diego thing. The only thing I look at that and I go, if I was basically someone from the Clippers organization, it's basically like, yo, bro, I'm fine with you living in San Diego, but like traffic sucks here. Can we do the whole like Kobe treatment and like helicopter in for like if he's helicoptering in, like there should be no problem because he's not done dealing with practice. Like that was the whole reason why Kobe would do the helicoptering because he didn't want to be right next to the stadium. He wanted to live where he wanted to live and then come to fucking practice and stuff. But at the same time, I get the thing of like you want everyone to be on the same page, but it's like I feel like the superstars are going to get the special treatment. It's going to happen. Maybe it is an atmosphere thing, like Tim said. Maybe you look at the Raptors and there were guys like Fred and Kyle and Siakam to where it's like they were younger players to where it's like it didn't really phase them as much.
Kyle's old.
Kyle's the oldest one. You're right. But it's like maybe it didn't phase them as much because they were just like maybe there was already a culture set in with Dwayne Casey and then Nick Nurse kind of continuing that and making it his own. Maybe that's why we never saw a problem with Kawhi on the Raptors. Plus, maybe the Raptors knew, hey, we're probably a worse team without this Kawhi guy on it. So whatever keeps him here because we want to win games and it won them a ship. We're basically on the Clippers. You've got like... If Trez is the one that leaked it, he's no longer on the team. But like you got guys like Pat Bev and Lou Will who aren't afraid to speak their mind, are older players, and kind of seem like players to me that would be like, yo, I don't like this treatment. I'm going to speak up and say something about it.
Maybe. I think it had more to do with the fact that there wasn't a leader in the locker room. And when you have a head coach who's
you need a glue guy?
When you have a head coach who's so lax like Doc was and the way he treats his players, as a former player himself, he gets it. He doesn't want to be that imposing, rah-rah, yell at everybody, whatever shit. But you look at the locker room that Kawhi has thrived in. San Antonio, he didn't need to be a voice.
Yeah.
He got to sit back and let Tim Duncan, Manu, and Tony Parker be the guys who are there for the locker room. They have the ownership. They have the responsibility. He just had to show up, play in world-stopping defense, and knock down some big shots. Goes to the Raptors. That was Kyle's team. Yeah. Like Kyle Lowry's the heart and soul of that Toronto Raptors team, and they added in one of the smartest vets in the game with Gasol and then Ibaka prior. So like they had a really great culture prior to Kawhi Leonard arriving there, I think. And that's the thing, is having that locker room guy who sets a tone for everyone else. This Clippers team felt very much like we were just piling on pieces and pieces and pieces. And whether they fit or not wasn't really the point. It was just, we should have enough talent at this point to just solve this problem. And I felt like that, you know, Lou Will and Pat Bev, yes, they have their own personalities, but like as far as locker room leaders, neither one of those guys screams leader to me.
Yeah, because I was going to say with the Thunder when PG was there, I know like it's Russ's team.
It was, yeah.
But was Russ the locker room guy? Like, I'm not like, I would say that to me, like Russ isn't the, like, how do I put this? Not basketball ability, but like to me, it's maybe I'm not in the locker room. Maybe it's just what I see when he's on the court. I feel like the Thunder were like, they were a good team. They won some games, but like it was Russ was the locker room guy. But at the same time, it's like, do they need a better locker room guy? Maybe that's just me putting the stigmatism that I always put on fucking Brody.
I would ask you to consider the comments we've heard since the Houston stuff broke and how he was a locker room leader. He was the guy who was going around the locker room being like, hey,
not yelling at Austin Rivers.
You need to work on this. You need to work on this. You need to work on it. Like literally going person by person saying, hey, we got to get better. We've got to make sure this shit works because we can't afford to lose. That to me screams leadership.
Okay. Yeah, good point. Like,
he's a tone setter. I think his effort level is a tone setter.
Which if Kawhi went, let's say he did go to the Lakers, like we mentioned in the last segment, LeBron's your leader. Like there's no way around it. Or if Kawhi, fuck it. Could you imagine if he went to play with Jimmy in Miami? Like let Jimmy be that leader of keeping everyone accountable. Kawhi's just got to come to work. Like, because I feel like Jimmy would be the guy that's basically like, yo, Kawhi, we in this together. As long as you show up to the game, you be you. We fine. I'll get the troops in order. I'll get the young guns in order because basically that team is fucking.
Jimmy might be on the other side of that as well and just be like, I'm doing it. Your ass is doing it too. He might pull Jordan on him.
Yeah, which might make Kawhi a better player. Like
if he buys in,
I feel like Kawhi would. Like if yet again, it all comes back to two of is the team winning? Is the team successful? That adds into things. We talk about numerous times losing teams and kind of falling into a losing culture. It's like
builds.
When you're losing, it sucks and it brings out the worst in you.